Victory Monday!
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Indeed we are, but we'll fall short, unfortunately. Welcome, everyone, to Not Victory Monday, a No Credentials Required podcast. We are presented by Belly Up Sports. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm going to bring in my co-host in just a moment. Before we do that, though, just want to remind the people who are watching on YouTube, because this is going to be a streaming exclusive on YouTube, on Twitter, I don't call it X, and on Facebook. But I hope you could support us in other ways, and that would be to follow us on social media. That would be on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for No Credentials Required. Also hit that like button. And also check out other podcasts, including No Credentials Required and other written articles at bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, our YouTube channel, and on Podbean. Don't forget to hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube so you know when Victory Monday, or in this case, Not Victory Monday, is live. We'll be coming on every Monday around 8:45 Eastern. So you want to join in. So I'm going to bring in my co-host. He is South Florida's biggest Jets fan, and again, I was also the biggest Florida Panthers fan that I personally know. Also likes the excitable dread. We got ourselves Dan Goldstein. Dan, how are we doing this evening?
Hey, not too bad of an evening. Brutal loss yesterday to start the season. Typical Jets fashion, to be built all the way up after a great performance just to be let down by the same old mistakes. So we're used to it. Doesn't hurt as bad as it did, in years past, but man, it's still tough. I think Aaron Glenn kind of earned that victory with the offense, and unfortunately the defense let us down. And we'll talk about that. So we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, my philosophy with this particular podcast is that I like to take 24 hours to kind of get my feelings out in the open. And I did that yesterday on Belly Up Sports. I wrote an article. I'm used to doing the Jets articles. I'm trying to get back into my writing, which I did. I was pointing out that the Jets, all those mistakes they made last year, the Robert Saleh era, the stink is kind of still on them, unfortunately. And they're kind of stuck in a state of football adolescence. And of course, Aaron Rodgers wanted to play the Jets, and he had this date circled on the calendar when he signed in June. I'm going to get these guys. Not that it's really anyone's fault. He wouldn't have fit in this system anyway. Seeing all the things that Justin Fields did yesterday. But regardless, from hope to heartbreak, all that hope turned into heartbreak, which is unfortunate. But as Jets fans, we're accustomed to it. As the Jets lose to the Steelers 34-32, Dan and I were texting back and forth during the game as well. But we're going to talk about the game. And we'll get some comments in the comment section. We'll get to those in just a brief moment here. But first, we're going to address the negatives. And there were a few negatives going into this game that we got to address. Dan, let's. I know you're more of a pessimistic Jets fan than I, to be fair.
Truth.
To be fair.
Truth.
So
Truth.
let's talk about some of the negatives we saw in this game first. So I want to get your point of view. What was your thought process during the game?
I mean, I think it's anybody clear that even remotely understands the game of football that the pass defense besides Sauce Gardner was just an absolute letdown in every facet. There was no stopping DK Metcalf. There was no stopping the tight ends. There was no stopping them when you needed a stop. They never quite got the opportunity to really help build the momentum that the offense was creating. It was every time the offense would come out and do what they needed to do, the defense came right back behind them and just let them down. and it just never gave the offense a chance to really get ahead, to really just pour it on, because it always just felt like the offense needed to respond. They never were able to get like a true comfort level going because the pass defense just couldn't stop anybody when it mattered most. So, Brandon Stevens, I was not a fan of his whatsoever, not a fan of his signing, could not believe that was the plan for CB2. And so far I was proven right. He was terrible yesterday. I mean, he dropped the interception. The only good pass breakup he had was the one on Calvin Austin in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one on the third. I think it was a third down play. But I mean, Aaron Rodgers literally was just like, where's Brandon Stevens? And let's throw it to whoever's on him. And, he was usually right on the money. I think, what was it? 5 for 7 for something like 100 and something yards and 2 touchdowns on Brandon Stevens. Unacceptable for your CB2. Tony Adams,
yikes,
looked like he regressed back to being a high school safety. He didn't know how to take angles. He didn't know how to tackle. He didn't know he lost communication. He looked like he had zero clue as to what Steve Wilkes and Aaron Glenn wanted out of him as the starting strong safety. That was embarrassing for him. That was, arguably his worst game I think I've ever seen. I don't think he did anything right. It wouldn't surprise me to know that he was probably graded out as the Jets' worst player on the field. Him or Brandon Stevens had to be the worst graded players out on the field. And it's just, you can't do that. Like, you can't do that here. We have enough issues already with this team, with the new system, with the youth, that you need to step up to the plate in order to give your team a chance. And this was finally one of those games where the offense did everything we asked of them to do. And now the defense let us down. And then of course, old reliable Xavier Gibson, the most fumble-itis guy in the entire league, does what he does, fumbles at the worst time possible, completely shifts the momentum of the game. And that was all she wrote right there. That was all they needed, was just that one turnover to capitalize on it. And then the very next play, I think Calvin Austin just running wide open for the touchdown. I don't think there was a guy within 6 yards of him. It's just, you can't do it. You can't do it. You need I said this last week, you need to give your offense every opportunity possible to be able to stay on the field, keep the ball away from the opponents, and work to score points. And the defense and special teams dropped the balls at the worst possible times yesterday.
Yeah, I remember last year you talking about, it seemed like at times in regards to Sauce Gardner, it seemed like his feet were in cement. And it seemed like that with Brandon Stevens. But his feet, I don't know what kind of cleats he was wearing, or if he was wearing, because he seemed to slip. I'm not going to make excuses for him. He had a bad game. Had a dropped interception that could have turned into a pick six, and that would have been game over there. So, but you saw him slip on a few plays, and coming out of the break of the receiver, trying to out pattern and trying to run his pattern for him, and which led to some receptions. And yeah, Brandon Austin had his number all day long, and it just seemed like he couldn't get his feet set right. Felt like he had cement for shoes at times, or he'd slip on the ground in that awful, god awful turf of MetLife Stadium.
Yeah,
I hate the fact that this turf is still on the field, and why we don't have natural grass or some sort of hybrid at MetLife Stadium. It's beyond me. The Johnsons and the Mars got to talk it out. I know next year for the World Cup they're going to have, because the World Cup final for soccer, the FIFA World Cup, is going to be at MetLife Stadium, and they're going to have natural grass. Are they going to keep that natural grass there? Who knows? I hope they do. They probably won't, because it's cheaper to keep it with the with the field turf, which is awful. But no, I mean, like I said, I'm not going to make excuses for Brandon Stevens. There are some plays where it looked like he slipped out of it slipped on the turf. I know Justin Fields had that one slip on that read option in the second quarter, where if it went the wrong way, that ankle's broken, and his season's done, and our hopes sink. But thankfully, it didn't turn that way. So, but negatives. Yeah, I wrote. I'm going to point to my article I wrote on Belly Up Sports yesterday about. I just feel like the mistakes that cost them, like you kind of knew things were too good. I hate looking at from this angle. They go up 9. I'm going, okay. I'm gonna be positive. Let's see if the Jets can get this win. First play from scrimmage after they go up 9, they get a stop. They get a tackle for a loss, but unfortunately it goes out of bounds. And Quincy Williams, again, some of these actions, the stink from the Robert Saleh era, where they're being aggressive but too aggressive, taking bad penalties at the worst times. This was the worst time to take a penalty, because after that, 8 plays later, Steelers are in the end zone. And the thing is, the Jets responded with a touchdown of their own. Saying, okay, great. All right, let's see what happens. No, actually, no, I'm sorry. They got the touchdown. And then why he's still on this team? Every Jets fan is shaking their head, going, why is he still on this team? Because I didn't see this until later. That was actually Xavier Gibson's 11th fumble as a member of this team. And this is total fumbles. This is not counting just lost fumbles. This is total fumbles in his now 3rd season. You'd think by now he'd learned some discipline with trying to keep the ball in his hands, but he had 2 fumbles. One of them came at the worst time. It was knocked out by Ben Skronik. You know, I got to give credit where credit's due to the Steelers with their special teams. They saw something, and maybe a special teams coach, somebody from the sky saying, Gibson's not transferring the ball to his hand, to the proper hand when he's taking the ball, when he's getting the ball and returning it. Punch the ball out of his hand before he transfers it, or doesn't transfer at all. And Ben Skronik punches the ball out of his hand. Kenneth Gainwell recovers. 2 plays later, Steelers go up, and you're going, it's too good to be true.
It's literally like, how can the Jets figure out a way to lose? Yeah. And it's just, they figure out a way to lose. It's just, they cannot seem to figure out a way to win. They lose the games that they're supposed to win. I think the Jets were something like a 98% chance of victory at some point before that all happened.
Let's take a look.
Something along those lines. Maybe not quite that high. I'm pretty close, but at some point the Jets were high.
76.9%.
Is that? I think I could have sworn I read somewhere where it was higher than that.
I'm checking,
but maybe I read the article wrong or saw it wrong.
It was at the 3:41 mark of the 3rd period when Johnson had that 2-yard loss in that run. Quincy Williams caught that penalty. It was 76%. It was a 76% win probability. And when the Jets went up 32-31 when they were up 32-31 with 1:12 left in the 4th quarter, it was a 76.9% probability.
Okay. So then I read something wrong incorrectly there, but either way, it's just, how do you finally flip the goddamn narrative and just find ways to win instead of ways to lose? I'm so sick of watching the Jets find ways to lose. I want them to find ways to win. We haven't seen them find ways to win since Joe Flacco in Cleveland and Garrett Wilson's rookie year. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, that game was like they found a way to win, you know, but like beyond that, it's just been like, it feels like,
I would argue the Pittsburgh game in Pittsburgh that same year, the 2022. in 2022 when Zach Wilson came back and Breece Hall had a great game in that game, and they went up going up late and they found that way to win. I wouldn't say. I mean, yes, the Joe Flacco game in Cleveland, that was a huge thing, but I think the Steelers game 2 weeks later, when they're in Pittsburgh at the start of that brutal schedule there, when they had to play all four AFC North teams consecutively, and they went up 2-2 because they lost. Because remember, they lost to Baltimore, beat Cleveland, lost to Cincinnati at home, traveled to Pittsburgh. And you think, oh God, no, they're going to start 1-3. They went up stealing the game. They went up stealing the game there. And what's even more brutal is it's not so much the fact that they found a way to lose, but how they lost the game on a 60-yard field goal by Chris Boswell.
I mean, was there any doubt? Like, was there any doubt? Like, he was lining up for the kick, and you're like, this is the Jets. Of course he's going to nail this. Like, of course he's going to set a career high. He's going to hit the first 60-yarder of his decade-plus long career.
Yeah, and his previous line was 59 against the same Jets 3 years ago.
You know, like it's just you knew it was happening. You knew it was coming. Like, again, I live, you know me, I live in just the pessimistic mindset when it comes to the Jets because they just haven't given me enough reason for optimism. So it's just like, you know, what can go wrong will. And it was just another day of that. It was a phenomenal game to watch for the brand new offense. They overperformed tremendously.
Yeah.
And yet they still jetsed and they still figured out a way to just completely fuck it up. And it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating.
It's frustrating, but at the same time, it's week 1.
I mean,
shrug emoji, silver lining.
I mean, look, you're still, you know, there's still 17 weeks of the season left here. You know, we still got 4 months of football to play, but to go up to start the season 1-0 with a new coach and to reward Justin Fields and the offense for their performance just would have gone so far towards just the morale of the fan base and inside the locker room itself. But instead, you just saw completely wasted potential.
Yeah. Because
the players that they needed to step up couldn't step up in the secondary, in Xavier Gibson. You know, they just couldn't do it. They couldn't maintain status quo. And now you go against Buffalo, who just showed you their determination, their grit, their heart. And I don't know. It already feels like Buffalo's almost a must-win game. Like, we're in week 2 and it already almost feels must-win.
Oh, no doubt. It does feel like it. I mean, on the one side, I'm happy with the way the Jets played. On the other side, it's a loss. And it's not only a loss, but it's a loss that is, if you're a fan, it's demoralizing. I can't imagine what it's like in that locker room. And after what it was like in that locker room after Sunday afternoon. But one thing we could take comfort in regards to Xavier Gibson, unlike the last regime that wouldn't call out players, that would just say, well, you know, we just got to execute better. The same old execute better. Every time you hear that phrase, you want to take a drink and just crawl under a blanket and call it a day. But Aaron Glenn, he's holding he's a player's coach, but he's holding players accountable. And he said yesterday, he says, he specifically called out Xavier Gibson for making that mistake. And that's one thing you want to see from your head coach is, I'm gonna hold players accountable when they mess up. And there were plenty of players that messed up yesterday.
I mean, he literally said, like, you're not going to be on this team long if you're the cause for our reasons for loss.
Nope.
You know, like, you're not going to be here. Like, you're not going to be a part of this organization and of our future if you're going to continuously be reasons for loss. or causes, or even just cause of stress.
Yeah.
Even if the Jets would have won that game yesterday, yes, we'd all be feeling a lot better, but still, like, that mistake just can't happen.
No.
That just would have been the Jets got lucky. They pulled it off and were able to weather a storm, even though Xavier Gibson just, screwed up at the worst time possible. So, I just, hopefully they can figure it out. They can right the ship soon. And maybe we can actually see something, better, better moving forward. I'm not optimistic into next week. But hopefully past that, they figure something out and we go from there. I don't see how they stop Josh Allen. I mean,
look, Baltimore did it for 3 quarters. Well, 3 quarters and like 10 minutes into the fourth.
And then he still ended up with 394 yards and 4 scores.
And I think he's the first. I think I saw a stat yesterday. He's the first, or this morning, he's the first player in NFL history who had 250 yards and 4 touchdowns in a matter of a quarter. It's ridiculous.
Insanity.
However, I will say this: at MetLife Stadium, Josh Allen is mixed results when they play the Jets. When he played, 2022, 2023. Even last year on Monday night, the Jets were getting after him. It's just a lot of mental mistakes on the Jets end that won the game for the Buffalo Bills. But at times, the Jets defense at MetLife Stadium has been kryptonite for Josh Allen. So I'm taking that hope into Sunday's game, but we'll see. We'll see. A lot of things that need to occur. A lot of corrections that need to occur, especially on the secondary, especially at linebacker. They still can't cover a freaking tight end. I can't understand why not. But Buffalo's run game was halted, and on the other side of the ball, we'll talk about the positives, and we'll get to that when we talk about the Buffalo game. Some comments in the comments section. We got a bunch of them here. My friend Victor Locke saying, in front of the show, Victor Locke saying, "Good evening to the he says, good legends of no credentials required." To which I say, "Good evening." You had to be there. Desi from Alabama checking in. She's a big Crimson Tide fan. She loves herself some Quinnen Williams and Malachi Moore. She says, "Hello, fellas." And Victor Locke saying he's found the Irish Italiano supervillain espresso coffee. Oh, yeah. I'm Italiano by association now. Both my sisters-in-law are Italian. Brent from the 1420 Sports Podcast. He's not a huge NFL fan, but he says, "Well, this is going to be interesting. Jets are going to jet." He says, "I appreciate your perseverance, Ryan." Thank you, Brent. Appreciate you. Hey, silver lining. The Yankees took 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays and the Astros, so I'm happy about that. They're making me eat my words because I said they were going to miss the playoffs a couple Saturdays ago. So, Victor saying that one silver lining, I believe that Justin Fields may have found his O-line. We'll talk about that in a moment. Another silver lining could be the Giants. This is true. And Victor saying he's great and he had a whale of a time with Mr. Unlimited Russell Wilson. Oh, good Lord. Oh, man. Well, yeah, I mean, look, the Giants and the Jets, they have the best 2, I would say the argument the best 2 D lines in the game. But we'll talk about that in a moment. But we'll get to the positives in just a moment. But first, just need to quick tell you about Fanatics, one of our affiliate sponsors here at No Credentials Required. Being a fan isn't about just game day. It's about every day. And at Fanatics, we've got the gear to rep your team and the memorabilia to make it unforgettable. From jerseys to limited edition collectibles, from the stands to your shelf, it's all here. Fan gear, fan moments, Fanatics. Our affiliate link is in the description below. So if you click on that link and you order some gear from Fanatics, which I did, I ordered this t-shirt. I don't know if you know who this is, Dan.
I can't see it. Stand up. Should I get the whole shirt in there?
Yeah. There you go.
Is that the Utah Mammoth?
Yes, it is.
Nice.
I ordered that shirt as soon as it became available, and they released it to the public. I'm like, I'm a New Jersey Devils fan, but this is a great logo. This is a fantastic logo and a fantastic color scheme, and I had to get the t-shirt. It's a great t-shirt, which I found at Fanatics. Also got my latest Jet shirt, which I wore on the previous rendition of Victory Monday for 2025. Got that at Fanatics. So it's not just NFL gear you can get. You can also get NHL gear, as pictured here. And NCAA football and basketball gear, Major League Baseball, NBA if you want, and so much more. Again, click on our link in the description. It's our affiliate link. A little bit comes back to the show for every order you make through that affiliate link.
I'm going to need to use that link to get some Panthers gear. I need more Panthers gear.
I'll send you the link after the show, buddy.
Perfect. Yeah, I need more Panthers gear. I just secured a raise at my job today. It's a pretty substantial one. So I'm in the mood to blow it on unnecessary purchases initially before I actually start being healthy with it. So thinking new Nike shoes and maybe a actual like real Florida Panthers jersey sounds good.
Who are you going with for your player of choice?
I don't know. I mean, Barkov is the GOAT, but I feel like he's just everybody has Barkov stuff. Kachuk's fun. I don't know, man. I might go with like a Bennett, honestly. I might go Sam Bennett.
I think you should go with like a player that nobody would expect.
But everybody's so good. Like, I don't know, man. Everybody's so good. Like that whole, I don't know. That whole team now is just nasty. Like I don't know. Maybe a Lundell jersey. Baby Barkey.
There you go.
Maybe a Lundell jersey. That would be cool, I guess. I'm up for anything. I don't really care. I just need a new jersey.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, and that Florida Panthers crest is gorgeous.
I miss the OG logo. The OG logo was phenomenal.
Did you ever like the reverse retros that Adidas made for them with the alternative logo, the palm tree?
Yeah, the blue ones.
Yeah,
those are sweet.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, those are sweet. They match my eyes.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's nothing hazel though for me. Disappointing. That's okay. All right, we're gonna talk about the positives coming out of this game.
D-Ray said she's gonna buy you a Crimson Tide shirt.
See, she's trying to gaslight myself and my OG co-host Dustin to become Crimson Tide fans. I'm a pseudo. I wouldn't say pseudo, but I follow Penn State. I follow. That's my team. That was my team in high school. I love Penn State. I kind of got out of college football, but Desi, who lives in Alabama, and she's a Crimson Tide fan. She wants to buy me she wants to gaslight myself and Dustin into becoming Crimson Tide fans. Yeah, got a couple of guys in the team that are Crimson Tide guys, or old Alabama guys, and other past Jets who went to the University of Alabama. Greg McElroy is one. CJ Mosley, the great Marty Lyons. He won a national championship with the Crimson Tide back in the day. So hey, got some former Alabama alum. Joe Namath went to the University of Alabama. So there you go.
Big Willie.
That's right. Broadway Joe. All right, we're going to talk about the positives of this game. We got the negatives out of the way. Let's focus on the positives for this game. And since I'm the positive Pete of this show, I'll start us off. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this offense. And I texted this to Dan yesterday after the first half. I said, when was the last time you saw a Jets team on offense wind up with a score on the first 4 drives of the Jets football game? I went back in my memory banks because being a Jets fan for such a long time, I honestly can't remember. It's been that long since the Jets have had some sort of effectiveness on offense. And the way that Tanner Engstrand and his crew of people scheme this offense, it was a marvelous job. You figured it's the Steelers defense. The Steelers are going to get after it, going to get after the quarterback. But the Jets kind of flipped the script and they said, okay, all right. So what the kids would say is bet. And we're going to punch you in the mouth. And we're going to do it early. We're going to do it often. And they did that to start the game. To start the game, at a 10-play drive. A 10-play drive that took almost 6 minutes off the clock. Again, when was the last time you saw the Jets start a game with a 10-play, nearly 6-minute drive?
I couldn't tell you.
I couldn't tell you either. It's been that long. It's been that long. Jets fans have been yearning, asking, pleading, begging to the Johnsons, to whoever is in the GM box, to the football gods for an effective offense and for at least one game. For at least one game, this coaching staff and this group of players delivered. And part of it was the scheme around Justin Fields, who Victor in the comments section that he says that Justin Fields may have found his O-line, because remember, when he was drafted by Chicago, the Bears expected to do everything himself. They gave him no support they have no talent to surround him. They gave him no offensive line to protect him. He was running for his life. And he didn't look like the guy that the Bears drafted. And you saw it, and you figured, all right, he's another one of those guys from the 2021 quarterback draft class that's star-crossed. They're not going to succeed in this league. Next to the Zach Wilsons and the Mac Joneses of the world, of that draft class. Just another toss-away player. Justin Fields looked, and I said on the OG show on Saturday, he was the guy I had my eye on. I said he had to be efficient. He had to play smart. No dumb turnovers. No bad plays. He was turning losses into plays that he would keep plays alive. Whether he would get out of the pocket when he was being pressured and would run towards the first down marker, or he would step up in the pocket and find a target. He was making some outstanding throws yesterday. Some outstanding throws, throwing in the tight windows, throwing that touchdown pass to Garrett Wilson in the first quarter was an absolute dime. Hang it in the Louvre. Hang it in the Louvre. Absolute, just beautiful. It's a thing of beauty. So that's a positive there. Justin Fields had a couple hiccups in regards to his leads, couple of his reads, especially in the first 2-point conversion where they missed the extra point. They decided to go for 2. Had a misread. Give it to Braylon Allen. Should have kept the ball, bootlegged it out for the 2-point conversion. That's a missed opportunity there. Also, the misread late in the fourth quarter when he could have given it to Breece Hall, who we'll also talk about in a moment. And instead of a first down, it's a 2-yard loss. They wound up punting the ball. So a couple of misreads here and there. But otherwise, Justin Fields had an outstanding game. The offensive line. 1 sack surrendered. Almost 200 yards of rushing. They made holes for Breece Hall. They protected the quarterback. Olu Fashanu had a great game on the one side for the tackles. John Simpson had a penalty I'll accept in protecting his quarterback late in the second quarter. It moved them back at a field goal. It would have been a field goal, but it moved them out of kind of that field goal range. But he played great. They moved Tippmann to the guard. They put Myers at center. They both had great games. But let's talk about Armand Membu going up against TJ Watt, who was circling in and out, but most of the time he was on the right side of the ball. Armand Membu pitched a shutout against TJ Watt. And at times looked like I saw one play I saw one clip from the All 22 on Twitter this afternoon where he pancaked TJ Watt. I'm just going, give me a cigarette. This is better than sex. It was awesome. Oh, man. Armand Bembu, zero pressures, 0 quarterback hits, 0 sacks allowed in his first game as a New York in the NFL. Those are your future tackles right there. This is your offensive line. This is your offensive line going for hopefully the next decade. These are your guys are going to build around. Next, talk about Breece Hall. And for at least the first quarter, I know they're trying to share time between Hall and Allen and Isaiah Davis. But as the game went on, we saw who the alpha male of that quarterback room is, and it is Breece Hall.
Running back room.
What did I say?
Quarterback.
Sorry, running back room. So I'm tired. I've been up since 4:30. Give me allow me just a scotch bit of grace. But Breece Hall, yeah, he's the alpha of that running back room. Over 100 yards rushing. Could have had more if there's some effective blocking up front or on the side, because you saw TJ Watt and Highsmith coming across the other side. If there's more effective blocking there, he has more yards. Also made a couple catches out of the backfield for and one went for 33 yards, a significant gain. But Breece Hall is establishing himself as the guy in that locker room. And we talked about AVT a lot. Alleged Vera Tucker. God bless you, sir. I don't think he's going to be a Jet next season after this latest injury. And Dan, you talked about giving AVT an extension. I say give that money to Breece Hall. And
literally what I was gonna comment when it was my turn.
All right, I'll say so. That's my positive. Defensively, defensive line, they ate all day. 4 sacks. Will McDonald gets 2. That was the only positive of that defensive unit, was that defensive line. So
that and Sauce.
And Sauce. Sauce was traveling. It was a traveling man yesterday. Did his job against Metcalf. That one catch that he had, that circus catch that kept that drive alive, was just wish he had that back. That's my thoughts on the positives. Positive Pete is done. Let's go over to Dan here.
I mean, we don't need to go over Justin Fields. Everybody knows how good Justin Fields did. If you watch that game, if you watch the highlights, you saw how incredibly efficient, poised he was in the face of pressure, how he was able to find creases and lanes and zip that ball into tight windows, tight spaces. It was excellent. We don't really need to go over it. You can go all over Twitter to read about how good Justin Fields was yesterday. He was arguably,
thanks for tuning in, Eli. I
mean, up until Josh Allen played, he was arguably the best quarterback that played yesterday.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I mean, he really was. I mean, he played mistake-free football when it came down to it. Yeah, he made a couple of bad reads here and there, but there was never a throw that was threatened to be picked off. There was he never ran 28 yards backwards trying to avoid a sack.
No.
You know, like he was just able to maneuver his way effectively in an offense that lacks any tight end identity as of now, lacks a true wide receiver 2 and 3, and basically only has 2 weapons that you can count on to be able to continually churn yards and stretch the defense. So to be as good as he was just a thing of beauty. O-line, incredible. I mean, yeah, Olu gave up the first sack, I think, of his career yesterday. He was the guy that gave up the sack to Highsmith. So, you know, what a run. I don't think he had given up a sack at Penn State either. So, you know, that was the first sack I think he gave up of his college and pro career, if I'm not mistaken.
That was the first one he had given up in a long time. Actually,
a long time.
I don't think he allowed a sack in college his senior year.
I don't think he allowed a sack in college. So yeah, it was just it was an excellent game for all of them. Armand Bembu, yeah, incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. Arguably arguably right there.
1 sack in 29 games at Penn State.
There you go. So, Membu arguably looked like a top 3 rookie yesterday. I mean, he absolutely rewarded the Jets, and he looks like an absolute stud. And the two of them for the next decade plus should really help any quarterback that we have behind us feel very confident that they have his back and that he'll be able to stay clean. Breece Hall looked completely healthy, looked exactly the opposite that he did all last season, where he looked like he just didn't have the cuts. He didn't seem to have the acceleration. He just didn't seem to have the juice. Everything with Breece Hall last year was taking a half a second longer than it did years prior. And this looked like the Breece Hall where everything was happening a half a second faster than years prior. And with that kind of performance, I think you're absolutely right that where initially I thought Breece Hall might be mid-season trade bait and would be, try and squeeze maybe a second rounder out of somebody, that's desperate. Maybe a team like Cincinnati that's threatening to play good but needs just an extra running back weapon out of the backfield. But now with AVT being hurt, and just not being able to be relied upon anymore, you figure if AVT had played up to his strengths for this year, he was probably looking at a contract of somewhere between 16 to 19 million a year as a guard.
Yep.
And now you let that go and you give it to Breece, and if Breece is able to maintain something like this, then he's absolutely worth 16 17 million a year and resetting the running back market. Like, he's worth it. He's absolutely worth it. So we'll have to see, how that goes. But yeah, I expect Breece Hall to actually get more catches out of the backfield than what he did. I thought 2 was a little low. I think his looks are going to go up in that regard. So if you're someone that plays prop bets, I would definitely start looking at betting over Breece Hall receptions moving forward. And then, I mean, yeah, what more can you say about, Garrett Wilson and his chemistry with Justin Fields? I mean, it was clear that they know each other, they trust each other, they understand each other. And even though Garrett is the lone weapon running around in that pretty much that entire receiving core, he showed you that even if the defense is giving you 100% of the attention towards him, he can still beat you. He can still get open. He can still find the separation. He can still find the soft spot. He can make the difficult catches, and he can just open up the game in a way that very few wide receivers can. So that was definitely an amazing sign to see. And yeah, I was thrilled basically with everything that the offense put together yesterday. Defense, what can you say about the D-line? I mean, the D-line minus Michael Clemens was absolutely spectacular. Michael Clemens, again, was atrocious. By the way, every rep he had, he got blown out. His pass rush was horrendous. Yeah, Michael Clemens was terrible, but the run defense with our new guys, Phillips and Briggs, was top-notch. Quinnen looked like a first-team All-Pro. Will McDonald looked like he might set the single-season sack record. I mean, Jermaine Johnson looked healthy in his return, which was excellent. I almost can't believe he looked as good as he did coming off Achilles tear in under a year.
Yeah,
so
he was effective too. He didn't have a sack, but you could see he was going to get home.
He was, I mean, sacks are a very misleading statistic. You think a guy gets a lot of sacks and he's a good player, and it's like, no, he knows how to close, but he can do a lot of things wrong. And Jermaine Johnson is not that kind of guy. We may not ever get, Jermaine Johnson may struggle to get to a double-digit sack guy. He may never be that 10, 12, 13 sacks a season guy. He may top out between 6 and 8, but he does so much other things well in his ability to set the edge, to run stunts, to free up the linebackers, that his value can't be overstated in the way he handles himself and in this D line. So I was thrilled with the way he looked and he played, and I can only hope that he can build from it as the season moves forward. Sauce Gardner looked like a first team All-Pro yesterday. He absolutely looked like, the Sauce of the 22 and 23. And it was encouraging after a year last year where, even though he was still, theoretically a top 10 to 12 DB last year, it felt like a letdown because it's Sauce Gardner and he's already set the bar so high.
Yeah.
Like it already feel like any other team would be thrilled to have Sauce play the way he played last year. Only the Jets would be like, man, he's really not that good this year. We were spoiled in that regard. He set the bar so high that even playing above average instead of elite felt like it was a letdown. So to see him reach back into elite play, like what we know and love from him was fantastic. I mean, he really looked incredible yesterday. And I just hope the interception numbers start to jump up. I mean, he really deserves some interceptions, some pick sixes. Like, I would love to see him I'd love to see a Sauce have like a 4 to 5 interception season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, take the last thing that people are like holding over your head and just give them nothing to talk about from this point forward.
I don't know if you got a chance to see Harrison Phillips's his comment after yesterday's game. He was asked about how he felt after he played his first game with the Jets. He said, quote, "I hope that was my worst game of the year." I love that attitude. I love that attitude. Love the attitude.
It shows why he was a team captain in Minnesota. It shows why he was so well respected in Buffalo. It's just, that's the kind of attitude that you want to surround your locker room with, because it's infectious. It gets around. It bleeds into the others. And that's just, it's what the Jets have been lacking. It's something that's an answer that like a true leader would say. He played excellent, and yet hopefully that's his worst game of the year. Like, that's crazy.
Had two tackles, but he still contributed.
His job is not to be a stat machine.
No, his part. He played his part yesterday in the fact that the Steelers had 53 rushing yards total on 20 attempts.
His job is to be a 2-gapper as a 1-tech. That's basically it. It's clog up the center, handle the 2 gaps around there, handle the A and B gap as a 1-tech, and make them go outside and make them not be able to squeeze easy yards out under the middle. And he did his job so effectively. I mean, he was a great compliment to Quinn. And for game 1, you got to give Darren Muji some credit, going out and getting Jawan Briggs and Harrison Phillips, identifying a true weakness in the preseason and having those two come in and for game 1, fix it. They fixed a large weakness we had in the preseason. Now, will they be able to maintain and sustain? We can only hope. We'll see kind of how it goes. But it was very encouraging. It was very, very encouraging.
Absolutely. Some comments before we wrap things up with our preview in Buffalo. Eli Betts is one of the guys maniacs. He's from that community. He's jumping in and saying, "Hello, Ryan. First time tuning in. Thank you, Eli. Appreciate it. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to raffle off like Jake does. So, but I'm hoping that we could reach
get us to 40,000 subscribers, and we'll absolutely raffle some crap off for sure.
Yeah, we're currently at 407. So, but thank you for joining in. I hope you subscribe. We got more content on the way, not just for Jets, but also for NFL this season. At the OG show for No Credentials Required tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be reviewing week 1 and what stood out to both myself and my regular co-host Dustin. He also says, I say Justin Fields is a weapon as well. That makes it 3. Thank you very much. We appreciate. We appreciate you agreeing with us.
I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely.
Yep. Desi saying she's right here. Will McDonald and Quinn Williams blew up. She said blew. I meant to say blew up, but it came up as blew off the line of scrimmage. We got you. Yeah, they were doing their jobs yesterday. Quinn was playing strong. Got the first play for Pittsburgh on from scrimmage on offense. Quinn Williams gets home. Quinn Williams gets home. It's you love to see it. You love to see it. Quinn playing like the guy like we knew he was going to be. I know there was some concern on the Steelers drive that brought them more than 2. You saw him on the sideline a lot, and apparently he had a toe problem, but he said he's okay. So a little bit of concern. I'm going, wait, why isn't he out there? Is he just getting a breather? Is AG stayed him for the fourth quarter? What's going on? But it turns out he just had a small toe injury and nothing really to be concerned about, which is a good sign. Eli saying Quinn in the backfield. Will McDonald looks like a man in a mission. He says if he can do that against Buffalo, he'll be thrilled. Me too. Me too. Desi saying even Jermaine had a quarterback hit and several pressures. I think he had 4 pressures overall and a quarterback hit. He was also a big factor. He and Will almost got to Rodgers when Rodgers made that throw that Brandon Stevens should have had for an interception. And you could kind of see Jermaine just going like this after Brandon couldn't bring in the ball. But, again, one of those plays you want to have it, but didn't quite get it. That's okay. Hey, on the Buffalo. Desi saying it could be the Jets could be the best defensive line in the NFL week 1. I don't disagree with there.
I didn't watch enough of the games to know how all the rest of them performed.
I mean, you could argue Denver. Denver had 6 sacks against Tennessee, but Tennessee's O-line is paper thin.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's certainly a great performance. A team with Zach Allen and Nick Benito on it. It's not surprising that they blew up a team like Tennessee. Can they do that every week? Different story.
Yeah, I mean, Jets going to face this defensive line in week 6, I believe, in London. So going to get a lot of tape on them. Does he saying if they can get to Josh Allen, sustain it for the game, hopefully it comes to fruition on Sunday.
I mean, the problem is even if you get to Josh Allen, he's 6'5", 240.
Yeah,
he's a much more athletic Ben Roethlisberger. So you have to do more than do your job. You have to elevate your ability to a level that you probably haven't realized you can hit yet just to be able to sustain Josh Allen. So I don't know. I don't know. We've certainly seen them do it in the past, but this is a different Josh Allen. I mean, he's changed his game since last year, and he doesn't make mistakes anymore. Like, you're not going to see those kinds of interceptions from Josh Allen that we saw in the 2023 game. You're just not going to see it.
Silver lining. Out of all the teams that Josh Allen has faced in his NFL career, the Jets have sacked him the most, 25 times. Hopefully there's more. Hopefully there's more on Sunday.
Hopefully there's more to come. That's true.
Hopefully there's more to come. I think, you know what, I will say this. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but I think Josh Allen becoming a married man has definitely changed his mindset. I
mean, Haley Steinfeld and that ass of hers will definitely make a man change. Sure.
Hey, he had 22 touchdowns and like not a whole lot of turnovers when they got engaged last year. So he was pretty unstoppable from late November on. Eli was just about to mention Denver, but again, he says he follows up with it's hard to tell against the rookie quarterback, and he also says Michael, he looks good shirtless. Clemens is going to have a big game this week, fellas.
Brother, I so wish that I could live in that kind of land of optimism.
I think he's being facetious.
I hope he's being facetious. Honestly, like I really because if that's not
Desi agrees with me. Haley has a peach.
Haley's got it. Haley's got a peach. That thing is nice. I don't blame Josh Allen at all for that one. But yeah, I don't know. Eli, let me know if you're being facetious or if you're being serious. Because if you're being facetious, I'll let it slide. If you're being serious, brother, I need the phone number to your drug dealer.
I think he's being facetious. If he brings Lucille with him, it's gonna be a bad time for somebody. All right, we got a few minutes left, so we're gonna preview next Sunday's game against Buffalo. It's a 1 p.m. start on CBS. I believe Jim Nantz and Tony Romo are going to be on the call. They haven't announced the teams. They haven't announced the broadcast teams. As long as it's not Spiro Ditas, I'll be happy because he's the D-list game for he's always the D-list game. Oh no. Eli says, I'm not. I'm genuinely believe it. I think AG is going to look for Clemens to have a great day. He's going to make sure he talks to him about Dawkins. Yeah, I guess they don't like each other.
Eli, I'm sorry, brother. I'm not there with you. I'm not there with you. You couldn't possibly convince me to get there. There's nothing you could say or do, bribe, offer me to even think that that's true. Arguably, Michael Clemens is the Xavier Gibson of that defense. And it's going to take a lot of different type of play for me to start turning the page on Michael Clemens and thinking he can actually be an asset. So you hold on to that optimism. I can only hope you're right. But if I was a betting man, I would certainly be betting in the opposite direction.
Well, I'll just say this to Michael Clemens. If he doesn't step up his game, get ready to speak Canadian, pal. All right, next Sunday. Speaking of Canada, Jets have Buffalo this Sunday. We've talked a little bit about this game. Buffalo did not play. Their defense did not play great against Baltimore. They allowed 165 yards to Derrick Henry. And I saw a meme saying, oh, Derrick Henry, he's 31 years old and he's had 165 yards rushing. I'm like, Derrick Henry is just a special athlete. Okay. None of this, oh, he's 31. And like, it would be like me at 48 going out in that field and running for 165 yards. I'd be dead, but that's special. Derrick Henry is a special. He's a special dude. All right. But Buffalo's defense did not play great against the Ravens. And it took a miracle of the football gods coming through for the Bills in this game and having 85-year-old Josh Prater kick your game-winning field goal to go 1-0 in the still 1-0 and lead this division. But this is an early divisional game. You got to have this one. You absolutely have to have this one. I don't know how Bills fans travel compared to Pittsburgh fans. From what I understand, it was over 40% Yinzers in the crowd at MetLife on Sunday. I'm pretty sure the people from Buffalo will travel down. And again, Buffalo fans travel well. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a bunch from up here in my region, the capital region of New York, that are coming down to this game. But let's talk about the X factors in this game, Dan. I'm thinking offensive line's got to repeat the same thing they did last week. They got to run the ball against this Buffalo team that allowed. Let's see how much they allowed against the Ravens.
I think it was over 200. No,
let's double check and take a look. Real-time research, folks. Real-time research. It's a staple of this program.
No, they definitely did because Derrick Henry had 165. I think Lamar had like 59 or something like that.
238 yards.
Yeah.
Lamar had 70.
Oh, okay. I underestimated it.
It's all right. It did good for my fantasy team. But yeah, the Jets offense, they got to repeat what they did last week. Establish a run, establish it early, ball control, minimal mistakes, be efficient. Hopefully it's a repeat of this past week when they scored on the first 4 possessions. I don't count the 5th because that was just with minimal time left in the clock. Defensively, secondary's got to play better. Hopefully there's some adjustments there. And there's some personnel switches. Well, maybe we'll see Malachi Moore in lieu of Tony Adams. Let's see how he plays. Let's get him some reps. Let's get Azari Thomas in that secondary. Let's get him some reps. Linebackers, they got to cover the tight end more. Buffalo's got not only one but 2 tight ends. and Kincaid and Knox, who will absolutely kill you if you don't cover them well. So and again, the defensive line. Let's do what we did last week. They did last week, and let's get home against Josh Allen. 25 sacks total in his career against the Jets in his career. Let's add to that total on Sunday. Dan, what you got?
Buffalo has so much grit, determination, and heart that even when they have an absolutely atrocious game, they're anti-Jets. They know how to play to win. So it is going to take just an absolute monumental effort in all facets for the Jets to be able to pull off a victory like this. It's any given Sunday, anything could happen in any Sunday. So it's entirely possible that the Jets pull this off. Mm-hmm. But Josh Allen is the league MVP for a reason. Josh Allen is arguably, at this point, you can call him the best quarterback in the NFL. It is entirely plausible that you could say he's over Lamar and Patrick Mahomes at this juncture. And the three of them can kind of continually rotate as to who's the best throughout the season. But Sauce has got to lock down Keon Coleman. I mean, I don't think Keon Coleman stands a chance in hell at being able to beat Sauce. So you can take out his biggest and most reliable receiver weapon and then hope that you can minimize the remaining amount of damage that he's going to do. You have to very much play disciplined in your lanes and keep maintained to not allow Josh Allen any wide open lanes or holes to scramble through. So that I think is going to be big. And yeah, I mean, you just gotta, I hope Tanner Engstrand looks right at the film, looks at everything Baltimore just did, and you turn around and do the exact same thing with Breece and Braylon Allen and Justin Fields, because Justin Fields, he's right up there with Lamar and Josh Allen as the best rushing quarterbacks in the NFL. So no reason you can't use him to run for 70, 80, 90 yards if played correctly. Breece absolutely has the explosiveness to do what Derrick Henry just did, and, plus more out of the backfield. So you just got to hope that they can minimize the damage that they allow Josh Allen and Buffalo to do while being able to just kind of do their own damage. If we're going to win, we're going to pull out a close one. I mean, this is going to be a 23-20 kind of a game, a 21-18 kind of a game if the Jets are going to win. But if the Jets lose, I mean, it'll be a slobber knocker, basically. I mean, you see the Jets winning a close one or Buffalo wins by like double digits. I don't think there's an in between here.
No, like I've mentioned, the Jets since 2021, since 2022, they've played the Bills very well at MetLife Stadium, and hopefully this is the continuation of that moment of that play at MetLife Stadium. They get after Josh Allen. They've stayed disciplined. They reduced the number of penalties. I mean, they had 7 penalties on Sunday. It's not great, but again, I think they're just trying to get the stink of the Saleh era off of them. That reputation. They need to be disciplined. They need to absolutely play tighten things up, play tight game, and yeah, it's going to be a close game.
The defense needs to help with swinging momentum.
Yes,
like that's the
turnover.
We need turnovers. Like you need to demoralize Buffalo's offense. You need to frustrate Josh Allen. You need to strip sack him and make him angry. You need to make him throw reckless. You need to run the routes and step in front of them. We need to win this game. We need to come away with at least 2 turnovers.
Yes.
To really, at least to be able to keep the momentum in the Jets' favor as much as possible. Even better if you can score. Even better if we can actually see, a strip sack, in the end zone, or a pick six. Sauce finally gets his pick six. Like that's really ideally what we need to really be that momentum breaker. So that's what I'm really hoping for. That's what we haven't seen. That's what we didn't see last year at all, was turnovers and, momentum breaking. It was all a lot of bend, but don't break, try and just, force the punt. And that needs to change. That we need the defense to reward the offense.
Yes.
If we're going to have any chance of success.
Agreed. Before we get out of here, a couple more comments here. Does he say most disciplined 60 minutes of football ever? Yes, for this week. And then the next week against Tampa Bay in their home opener, and then the following week against the Miami, which would be a treat. A beatdown of Miami would be such a treat.
Be incredible. They looked like the worst team in the NFL against Indianapolis, and I was so thrilled.
They had to put in Zach Wilson.
It's hysterical. The shop that I work at now, I work for a luxury and exotic car repair and customization shop, and we do a lot of the Dolphins players, as a matter of fact. So I've met Jalen Waddle, I've met D. Eskridge, like I've met Braden Daniels. I'll meet a few others as they come in for sure too. Jalen Waddle's actually really nice. I unfortunately I can't hate on Jalen Waddle. All three of them were nice.
Yeah.
But like Jalen Waddle's like really the only Dolphin guy like I actually like as the Dolphin. Everybody else I could care less,
Well, let's put it this way. If the Dolphins are going to blow it up at the trade deadline, Jets need a number 2.
Oh my God. I would absolutely be 100% on board with Darren Muji throwing a first and a third for Jalen Waddle.
And
100%.
of course, Waddle being an Alabama guy, he's going to say Waddle's an incredible guy and a great receiver. Of course, he's going to say that.
Dude, Waddle was my favorite receiver in that draft over Jamar Chase.
Fair.
I had Waddle number 1 over Jamar Chase.
It would be fun to have. It would be fun to get Waddle, but I don't think it
won't happen.
The Dolphins would trade into.
It won't. It won't happen. We'd have to poison pill it. we'd have to convince like an NFC team to make the trade. Like we have to talk to Saleh and see if he'd do us a solid. Because San Francisco needs receivers too. Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, we would need an NFC team to poison pill it for us, make a trade, send them a 2, and then we turn right around and send them a 1.
Oh man, that'd be funny. All right, we're gonna get out of here for this edition of Not Victory Monday, which is a No Credentials Required podcast presented by Belly Up Sports. Dan, thanks for joining me as always. And we'll be back next Monday night, 8:45 p.m. We're reviewing the Buffalo game. Hopefully it'll be a much more upbeat and much more, and hopefully there's no heartbreak involved, but there's more hope. Thank you, Eli. Says great job, great work, guys. Thank you, Eli. Appreciate you stopping by, and thanks for the subscription. I do appreciate that. You want to tune in tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. for the OG show. We're going to talk about the NFL. Week 1. But in the meantime, Dan and I are going to get out of here. I'm going to get some sleep because it's almost 10 o'clock Eastern. And I'm pretty sure Dan wants to sleep too. But thank you for joining us. Victory Monday. We're back next week, 8:45 Eastern. Talk about the Jets and Bills game, and then look forward to the game against Tampa. So thanks for stopping by, and we'll talk to you next Monday night.
Dolphins blow.
As to the Pats.
Victory Monday!
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.